Thank you for listening. Please share with anyone you think will benefit from this podcast. Hello and welcome to Resilience in Life and Leadership, and I am here to introduce to you Tess Scott. Tess Scott, former Black Sheep turned Jesus girl, is mom of 8 boys and spunky Grammy with a heart above the eye to a whole slew of adorable grandkids. She began the Listen Sister Encouragement for Women Ministry in 2020, where you can find her blog posts at tessscott.com and her Listen Sister pages on Facebook and Instagram. She continues to live her life of hilariously awkward moments in Scenaria, Ontario, to the ongoing embarrassment of her family, which is what it's all about. Welcome, Tess.
Hello and welcome to Resilience in Life and Leadership. I am here with Tess Scott, and I am so excited to talk to you because you are doing some pretty cool things. You're an author, and I was telling Tess earlier, I love her name because I personally have a Tess, one of my daughters. So great name. What's your middle name?
Lynn.
Okay, her middle name is Grace, so that's close.
Nice. That's a Grace.
Not really, but okay. So, Tess, tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are.
Stephanie,
question.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
I'm always excited to share my story, and my story is like I was kind of a black sheep. You know, my life, if you look back, I've been married a few times, made tons of bad decisions, and it's a freak show. I call it a freak show. I
can relate to that actually, unfortunately, but yes.
That's because you have children too.
That's
So I have 8 boys, 8 sons,
Gosh.
a blended family. And I'm blessed, and they're all grown up now, except I have one at home still who's 18. And, I'm not pushing him out the door, but look at my hands. Yes.
Yeah, right. You're not staying. You're not staying. Just so you know.
Yeah, he's going to college next year. So that's cool. And grandkids and the whole life. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome and full of experiences. And by the time you're, my age, our age, you have lots of stories. But I felt like, how can I say this? Stop. In 2012, my current husband at that time, Rick, came to me and said that he was leaving. He didn't love me anymore, and he was out. And it had been over time. It wasn't like I was still surprised and shocked and devastated. There's always things leading up to it. And I begged God that he wouldn't leave. Like I spent every day, I'm not exaggerating, every day with my face in the green shag carpet of my bedroom. And yet God allowed it to happen. He left, and it was terrible and awful and all those things, really bad. And for the kids too, was awful. I didn't want to be on my own again, not the first time. I didn't want the shame, because there's some shame with that, especially like I'm an Elizabeth Taylor, but this was my 3rd divorce.
Yeah.
So, not a fan anyway, at all, but I learned a lot and I grew a lot through that time. And I grew close to God, and I grew in life as a person. And I really needed that. Like now it's easier to look back and say, I'm actually thankful for that time because of how I grew and how much closer to God I became. And it wouldn't have happened otherwise. Right. That's all I had. I needed that to breathe. It was like moment to moment. Some days it was awful.
It's never through the wonderful times in life that we grow. Right. It's through those times where God sometimes strips everything away from us, and we have to rely only on him. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it. Now, I don't ever want it to happen again.
No, it's not good.
Or to anybody else, right?
No,
but I can be thankful for that now. So then 5 years later, 3 years after our permanent divorce, we got back together and started dating.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of the year got married.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like remarried. So that's like a miracle, absolute miracle. And I'm very thankful for all of it. Like every day I'm thankful.
Wow.
3 weeks after our marriage, on September 9th, 3 weeks after, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
this is me talking to God.
Right.
Really?
Oh
Like,
my gosh. You and I are like the same person. That's
like, thank you for my husband back. Now this, what?
I'm
And
sorry. You're joking, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Gosh.
And I thought, like, this is the worst timing in the world.
Wow.
I thought, however, okay, stick with me, because what I learned, because we're always learning in life, hopefully. And what I learned through this time was that allowed my husband to take care of me, to show me that he loved me, to show my kids that he loved me. He
Wow.
was amazing to me. And had that timing been different, if I would have got sick the year before and he would have come and said, you know what, I want to come back, I'm going to take care of you, I would have been, ain't going to happen, buddy. Right? I wouldn't have trusted him.
Yes.
And so I can say that was the best timing. And I'm good now. I'm healthy now. It's been 6 years. And
God, good for you.
yeah, I'm so thankful. But I am thankful for the timing. And we don't always even get the chance in our life to see that,
Right.
to see why things happen. So that's a gift, really, to be able to see, like, yeah, that was the best timing for that. And all the things that we learned through that, and how it really cemented us together.
That's beautiful. I love
that. It was difficult. Like, it was really hard. It was hard in ways, like, because I was so defenseless, I had no control, I had to have a mastectomy. So, and all, like, the whole, I think the mental part of it is the worst, right?
Yes.
Like, well, when you married me, you didn't know that I was going to be missing parts of my body, or my hair. I lost my hair. I had chemo, so those things there was a battle all the time, but the battle is where you grow.
That is so true.
You grow through that. So we got through that. And then a few years later, I guess a year ago now, it's only a year ago, I can't believe this.
Wow.
I was feeling like God wanted me to share my story of life, because it's a freak show, right? From raising 8 boys, the marriages, and all the little things. It's not even just the whole, like, biography of life, but it's like the little daily things even.
Right.
But so I said no, because I don't want to. Right.
And so, and you're going to win that battle. So yeah. Okay.
So I said, hey, God, because that's how, I think there's other people that are much better to do this than me, because I have a high school education. And I mean, instead of going to college or university, I had a baby, and so on and so on.
Didn't Moses say some similar things to God? I think not about the baby, but
and Joshua,
right.
But I just didn't feel. And who would listen to Tess Scott? Oh my word, like Hot Mess Express over here. But anyway, time, you hear it, you think God's saying that, and then you go to church and the pastor says it, then you're listening to the radio station and the song is like, Tess, listen to God. And you're like, okay, I'll do it, So, so then I thought, okay, I'll start writing. So I started just writing little stories and blogging, and my husband's like, I think he wants you to read a book, or to write a book. I really think you have to write a book. And so I'm like, okay. And, so I kind of got a vision, like, I'm going to write a book. Not got a vision, but I mean, an idea that I'm going to write a book and speak to women, and encourage them, right? Just encourage women, like, just, we can do this. And then this is what happened. I was getting ready for work, and I'm looking in the mirror, putting my makeup on or whatever. I was working at a college in an admin position, and my smile was like kind of crooked, and my eyes were kind of blurry. And I'm like, this looks weird. Like, it's like this, right? Like, I don't know what's going on. So I went to work because, they need me. And so when my boss came
in,
we're
women, we just do what we're supposed to do, right?
Someone has to open the doors. So I went in, and my boss came in, and he said, what's wrong with your face? No one wants to hear that.
No.
So I went to the hospital. Anyway, I drove myself. I stopped at home to get a book in case, my eyes weren't blurry. And then went to the hospital, and it wasn't a stroke, make a long story short, but it was a TIA, which is like a little warning stroke.
Oh, wow.
But there's no permanent side effects.
Damage.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Damage of that. So I was in the hospital 3 days, and I was really upset because I felt like, God, I think you're asking me to share my story, to write, to speak, and I can't see, and my words were all garbled.
And I can't talk, right?
And I can't talk. My words are all garbled, and it was scary. And so when I got home after those 3 days, I said, well, that was like a false alarm. And my husband said, but what if it's not a false alarm? What if it's a real alarm? Because we all only have, this is my husband, we all only have so many days. How are you spending
Wow.
your days? How are we spending our days? I think you need to quit your job and do this. And I'm like, we don't have that kind of money.
Wow.
So he's going to work longer. Like he might have to work until he's 100 or something, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
it takes. And
100,
yeah, so
102. Yeah. Whatever.
yes, it's one of those numbers we don't know yet. So then I went into work the next day and said to my boss, I'm going to quit. I'm going to retire. And he's like, oh, you're thinking of retiring this year? And I said, yeah, in a couple weeks. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm sure that wasn't happy news, but for
no,
them,
no.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it was just like I want to use my life and all those things. I want it to be
Wow.
for something. Right. And so I stopped my job. I was done April 1st of last year. I wrote a book proposal. I sent it in. I got a book contract with Barnes and Noble, or with yeah, I can't even say it, with Morgan James Publishing.
That doesn't
And
happen.
it's not me. I'm not a writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I wasn't a writer. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not an
Wow.
educated person, but God gave me this, right? He gave me
Yeah.
this story. And I think I just do it one day at a time. What are we going to do today? Okay, today I'm going to do a podcast. I don't know. What am I going to
Wow.
do tomorrow? Like, next weekend I'm going to speak to some women and whatever
I
it
love
is. I don't know
that.
what it is. Like it's the good thing about being me is that I realize it's 0 Tess, 100 God. So there's not a
Yes.
lot of pressure on me.
Yes. I absolutely, first of all, you're hilarious. And this has just, now my day just started, but this has made my day. I have
Aw,
had so much fun already. So,
yeah,
um, but it's so interesting because I think when we know really what we have the ability to accomplish,
yeah,
which is why God chose all of those people that just aren't gonna cut it, right?
yeah,
Then he can show
yeah,
off. He can do the thing. And that's what I
yeah,
love that. That is so cool.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Now I forget where I was.
Oh, that
Um,
is so well.
yeah,
You're doing it because God is saying, yeah, it's
yeah,
me. I mean, it's all
yeah.
me.
It,
Wow.
it's all
That
him.
that
So,
is
so yeah.
fantastic.
And the other thing is like, if I'm speaking at a ladies event and I'm walking up the steps to the stage and I fall on my
Yeah.
head and my skirt goes up, it's just all part of it. It's part of
Right.
Tess Scott, right? Like I'm the person who does the most embarrassing, awkward things.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it. Then I write a story about it and then I write a book. So,
That's what
it's
I
all,
always say. It's something like that. Hey, it's a good story. That's all I got. Right.
it's
So
a good,
so let's talk about your book a little bit. Tell us about the book. It's called Listen, Sister, Finding Hope in the Freak Show of Life.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
So sure.
fantastic.
I'll show
So
you. Can I show you a picture of it?
yes. Oh, I love that.
Yes, that's me.
Is there a boot on you right there?
Boots, yeah.
Yeah.
Pink boots, yeah.
Okay. I
That's
love
me.
that. That's
Face down
fabulous.
because we've
Dude,
all felt like that. What woman has not felt like they're face down on the hill in the mud? Like, I mean, I have physically been there, and also lots of other times I have been metaphorically been there.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the book is about everything from like stories of being a kid. I was raised on a farm in the middle of nowhere, with 3 brothers, and little things that happened and what I learned through it. Some stories of raising 8 boys, of being divorced, stories of there's some of breast cancer and what happened,
Yeah.
just kind of my struggle with it. I think there's about 95 stories, and more than almost all of them are funny
Hmm.
because that's just my style. Like,
Right.
I think that's what allows me to be vulnerable and to deliver hard truth, is because I can put a funny spin on it.
Well, and so in my real world, in my real life, I run a nonprofit and we do prevention education on human trafficking, social media
Okay.
safety and health relationships, and we talk to kiddos. And one of the things that makes us unique is that aside from the engagement that we bring, and we bring a lot of humor into the conversation, And people are like, well, how can you laugh about human trafficking? Well, certainly we're not laughing about that. That is, and
Correct.
we
Yeah.
always say we take our topic very seriously, but we don't take ourselves very seriously.
Yeah.
And that really is the key, because when people have humor attached to the things that they're trying to learn, they retain so much better. And yeah, so it's everything. It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. And don't you hate it when your husband is right?
Yeah.
You know, I just,
Amen.
yeah.
That's all I can say.
When they just come to you with wisdom and you're like, oh, yes, but
I know.
no, they're
It's
great people.
true.
They're great people.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
great people. Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay. So would you say, I mean, God's obviously got you on this journey where it really is a journey of trusting him
Mm,
every day. Can you talk about that trust piece a little
uh,
bit?
yeah. Yeah. It's still hard, even though, I could stand up in front of hundreds of women and say, trust God.
Yeah.
I know I shared a little thing like a Facebook Live or something a few weeks ago because, Rick had said to me, fear not. And I'm like, fear not? Like, I know to fear not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I've heard it before. Shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this
again
one.
With the husband. Yes. Right.
Like, I know because I tell other people that, but we have to be reminded about it over and over and over.
Right.
And one of the things I think about, if you're reading back in the Bible of stories that you read, like, or heard since you were maybe a little girl with the flannel graphs and all that, I read about like the children of Israel, right? So, Moses takes them across the Red Sea, God parts the water, they're on the dry sand and all this stuff. And then later they forget and they screw up over and over and over and over. Like, so we're all going to do it all the time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But one of the things that kind of sticks out to me is after they crossed over the water, he had them build this big monument, right? Like this big stone monument so that they'll remember what God did, right?
Right.
And like, I would like to build something in my backyard, but my husband's not really a big stone monument in the backyard kind of guy, So I want to do other things in my life so that I remember what truth is, or remember what God did, whether it's like a picture, like our wedding picture, or even sometimes it's just like a verse or a saying, usually a verse on a card, and put it somewhere where you see it all the time, like above your kitchen sink where you're peeling potatoes, or above your dryer where you're folding your couch where you're folding your laundry, or wherever it is, like, so that you see it and get that truth in your head all the time, all the time, all the time. And it's so important.
Oh, I just love that. I love that. That's good. So, okay. So I'm engrossed in this conversation because I personally needed to hear this today. Isn't that cool how
I love
God
that.
just shows up, and when he's doing something in your life, and then he brings, Tess Scott into it and just speaks truth. I think that is so amazing. So tell me a little bit about what that, because I think there's a lot of people who don't understand the leading of the Holy Spirit. Like you said, you made the comment, and we'll see what I do today, because I may go speak, I may write, or whatever, that God does have a plan for your life, and sometimes he wants you to step out into that plan without knowing what that next step is going to be. And I think that's hard for people to understand sometimes.
Yeah, it is hard to understand. And so what I started doing a while ago is in the morning, just asking God for opportunity. Can you just open my eyes? Because how many things do I not see that are going on around me? Can you just open my eyes to one thing today, one person that I can speak to, somebody I can help? Like, just show me one thing. And so I want to tell you a little story. This is something that happened when I was working at the college. This woman who was a cleaner, so I didn't know her well, but I knew her name. So she came to me and she looked upset, and And she's like, Tess, can I ask you a question? So I'm like, yeah, sure. And she said, when you got cancer, were you scared? Yeah. Like I was petrified. Of course I was
Absolutely.
scared, And she said, well, um, I think I might have cancer. I'm going to get the results, this week. What did you do when you were scared? Okay, there's an opportunity. So I said, well, when I'm scared, I prayed because I have a relationship with Jesus. I can talk to him anytime. And I just prayed and asked him to give me peace. And she said, okay. And then she walked away. So I thought, oh, good. I'm such a good person. So, oh, yay, Taz, way to go. So then I felt really in my spirit, really, I know it was short lived. It was like 5 seconds in my spirit, really short lived. In my spirit, I felt like, you have to go pray with her. Like you have to, but very really quickly, I thought, oh no, I'm not going to do that. So how about this? How about this? As I'm negotiating with the creator of the world, how about you bring her back into my office so I can shut the door and then I will privately pray with her because I'll do that. So
all the conditions.
And God did not bring her back into my office. She did not come back into my office. And the day went by and the day went by. And it's like time I have to leave. She's still there. She worked a different shift. And I thought, oh my goodness, I know I have to pray with her. Like, it's just this feeling like it's knocking on your door constantly. And you know it. You have to do it. There's not going to be peace until you do it. So I go and look for her in the building, hoping that she went home or something, to be honest, because I really don't want to do it. And I find her, and this is where she is. This is where she is. She's upstairs and she is in the lunchroom. And it's this central room in the building and 3 walls are glass.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. Because so you can have anonymity.
Yep. You are going to obey me and you are going to obey me now. So I went in and I went up to her and I said, can I pray with you? Hoping that she's going to say no, of course. And she said, sure, and started crying. So I put my arms around her and prayed with her. And I'm not saying that because I'm anybody, because I didn't want to. Okay. Hear me when I say I do not always listen. But so anyway, I prayed with her and I went home and I went into work the next day. I never saw her. She wasn't there. I never saw her. And I don't know what happened to her. And I don't know her last name. Right. So,
wow.
So fast forward, 6 months at least later, and a man comes into my office and he says, are you Tess Scott? Yes, I'm Rachel's husband. I said, oh, is she okay? And he goes, well, she wants to talk to you. She's in the car. So I went out. Honestly, Stephanie, this woman, I would not have known was her. She's bald because she had chemo.
Wow.
She lost at 100 pounds. She was just a shadow of the person that she was. And she was crying and, so I talked to her and then after that visited her in the hospice, got to pray with her more and she passed away. But I would have not saying anything good about me, but if I hadn't prayed with her, look at the blessing I would have missed too. Right. To be involved in that. And when you take that step, even though you're scared to do it, to be honest, I was scared. I didn't want to do that. I'm not preacher woman. I'm Tess Scott. I fall down the stairs. I don't go and do things like this. But I'm so thankful that I did because it blessed her and it blessed me to do it.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So it's just listening and then doing it. Just forget the fear. Just do it scared.
Yeah. And you never know what it is that God is going to do in that moment. Yeah. And sometimes you may never find out.
Right.
And that is I've had 2 experiences where we're just going to talk all day. So this is what's going to, I hope you have nothing to do.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
So, okay. But I had one experience where I remember I was driving home and it was freezing. And there was this little boy on the side of the road on his bicycle, he was riding to school, but he had no gloves and he kept, blowing on his hands. And I was in traffic. So it was rush hour. I was headed to work. He was headed to school. And it was a 2-lane road and there were cars everywhere. And God so clearly said, I want you to stop and give him your gloves.
Yeah.
And I said, that is the most inconvenient thing you have ever asked me to do. I thought,
Yeah.
back and I can't do it. And we had this back and forth. I said, stop and give him your gloves. And do you know what? I said no. And I
Yeah.
did not do it.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had a Holy Spirit spanking, I mean,
Yeah.
that is one of those things
I
where,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, okay, what could have happened if I would have been obedient in that moment?
Yeah.
What could have happened? And so that has always been in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Every time God asks me to do something now that's completely uncomfortable, which is
Yeah.
most of the time, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was in a Starbucks and there were these two women talking. And I remember, and God was like, I want you to go over there and tell them that I love them and that you can see me in them. And I was like, no, I can't. I mean, I don't know if
Cray cray.
they're just there to, yes. And he said, I want you to do it. Well, so now I've got this little boy without gloves in the back of
Yes.
my mind. So I
Yeah.
walked up to both of them and I said, I just want to tell you that Jesus loves you and I can see him radiating from each of you.
You
They both,
did that?
I did. And they both burst into tears and said,
Oh,
thank you. We so need, and that's all I know. Like, I
yeah.
don't know their
Yeah.
story. I don't know what
That's
happened.
okay.
I walked away and I was like, okay, that's what
Yes.
obedience does.
I did
It's
it.
like,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
And just being willing to look like a complete idiot,
Yeah.
because who knows, God might ask you to do something that is not a
Yeah.
huge, like, okay, that was
Yeah.
amazing. It could be
No.
not so amazing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
good stuff.
right. And really, I mean, if we think about it, what do we care if we look dumb on earth?
Yeah, it's not our home.
That's
And
not
I
our
look
home.
dumb every
Yeah.
day. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I might
Oh,
as
I
well
know.
hold on to that, right?
That's right. That's right.
Be type A in that. Yeah. Oh gosh, that is so good. What any other just words of wisdom that you would have to share to the listeners?
Hmm. So kind of the thing that I always say to women, and I've kind of said this earlier, is fill your mind with truth,
Mhm.
because the things that you're thinking control your emotions, and then your emotions lead to your actions, and then your actions lead to good or bad things, consequences that are happening, right? But it starts back to what you're thinking, and keeping that truth in your mind. Fill your head with truth. Fill your head with truth. Just keeping that in there, ruminating around, because we don't even think about what we're thinking.
No.
I think, like, there's never quiet in our lives, in the world, in our society right now. Like, there's always things going on. There's
Right.
always, like, your phone is beeping, and there's music playing, and there's people talking, and there's, at least in my world, and I don't even have little kids running around anymore, but there's hardly ever quiet time to
Right.
analyze what you're thinking. And why am I thinking that? And is that actually true? Compare that to truth. Why am I saying, oh, Tess, you're so dumb? I'm actually not dumb,
No.
or whatever it is, whatever the things you're struggling, like I can get into, like, oh, why would anyone listen to you? You've been such a failure in life, or you're always this, or all those things, but they're not truth.
Right. Right.
But if I don't take that time to step back and kind of think about what I'm thinking and whether it's really true or not, then that can, like, it's like breeding like rabbits in there,
Yep.
So I take intentionally take time in the morning to have that slot of time, whatever it is. When my kids were little, it was sometimes 5 minutes, and sometimes you have to lock yourself in the bathroom to get it. I understand. and have quiet,
Yeah.
and have like solitude, and also to fill your head with truth. Like,
Yeah.
even if you can only read one verse.
I love that. And I think what's really important is that it can look different all the time.
Yeah.
That we don't need to get legalistic about it.
Oh, no.
And every time, every chapter in our life is going to look different. And so the time we spend in solitude, the time we spend with the Lord, that's going to look different every single day.
Yeah.
And yeah, we purposely, and I sometimes, I had a friend say to me, why do you always have stuff in the background?
Mm,
Like and it's not even, I mean, sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's whatever. I don't even watch TV a whole lot, but there's always something.
mhm,
And I had to really think about that, and like, I don't know, what am I shutting out that I need to
mhm,
really hear? And I'll spend
mhm.
time with the Lord, just time with him, but even then I'm usually talking, what do you need to tell me, God? And
Yeah.
how can I receive that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. I love
Because
that.
he doesn't use a bullhorn, right?
Not
He doesn't
often.
he
No,
doesn't Snapchat. I'd love to receive an email or a text, but
I did
we really need.
receive a postcard once from
Did
God.
you? From God himself? Oh, my
Ish.
friend.
Yeah,
Ish.
ish. It was,
Ish.
I
Ish.
was, my husband wanted to have another baby. Long story. I won't go into detail. And I was like, nope, we're not going to have another baby. And I said, I'll pray about it. The next day, I got a postcard in the mail thinking about having another baby. And I'm like,
You did
oh,
not.
okay, hilarious.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
rich. And did
Yeah.
you?
It's my boy. Yeah. So okay, so I had a lot of problems keeping babies. So
Okay.
I had a miscarriage, my first baby,
Uh,
and I had to deliver the baby. Then I had my daughter,
mhm.
uneventful pregnancy. We thought we're good. And then I had three more miscarriages. So,
Um,
and then I had another daughter, and I thought, that's it. I don't want to do this again. And so we're done.
mhm.
And my husband was very respectful and didn't want to say anything, but he had been praying about having another one. And I can't remember how the conversation began, but yes. So we had this postcard, and I, of course, didn't tell him about that.
I bet you didn't.
But then we were at a funeral, believe it or not, and my daughters were with me. Now my two daughters, I've got this, dark skin, dark hair. My husband's much it's got the recessive genes, and my oldest daughter is born redhead, fair skin, which I was not expecting, because
Yeah.
I've got black in me, and so I was expecting her to look a little more brown. And then my second daughter was born with blonde hair and fair skin. I thought, what is this recessive
Yeah.
gene thing going on?
Yeah.
But we're at a funeral, and this woman said, where did you get the two kids with red hair and blonde hair? And I was like, yeah, recessive genes. And she said, your next baby, this is after the postcard, your next baby, your boy, is going to look just like you. And I'm like, and my mom was furious because she knew we were
Yeah.
struggling. We had struggled. And I was like, okay, God, seriously, this is getting ridiculous. My problem was the lining wouldn't sustain a pregnancy.
Okay.
So we go to the doctor. I said, all right, listen, I said, I would pray about, let's go to the doctor. If the doctor says that my lining is where it needs to be, which I knew it would not be because it never was,
Okay, we'll take that bet.
then right, then we'll think about it. And
Sure.
if it's not, we'll keep praying. So go to the doctor, and she said, wow, your lining has never been thicker and you're ovulating. So we have a little boy,
Mhm.
and not so little anymore. He's
Yeah.
taller than me, but he is my mini me. He was born with jet black hair, and now it's brown and curly, and he
Oh my
is
goodness.
just I mean, he is, I think about, like, what if I wouldn't have had him? He's just like one of the lights of my life. And so
Ah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
did get a postcard from God.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great story. And the woman at the funeral, has she met your son now?
I don't even know who she was.
Well,
I
maybe she'll
could
hear
not.
this.
Yeah, right. And if you're
Thank
listening,
you.
thank you. Right.
I love that. That's a great story.
Yeah. So anyway, so never assume
Yeah.
what your plans are, because God, what the
Mhm.
whole cliche, man makes plans, God laughs.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's so
yeah,
true.
That's awesome. Okay, final question, because I really could talk to you forever. Maybe I'll just start a podcast with you so
Sure.
that we can just do this
That'd be
together.
fun. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Okay, so final question. What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience, like bouncing back from tough things, right?
Bouncing
I would
back,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that for me, I would say not giving up even when, even when you get down and think, it always goes this way, it always goes that way. You can be really beaten down by that, like be kind of hard on yourself about it, but God has a plan, right? And you and I are proof of that. Like there's better things than there's better things than I could have ever imagined. There is no way, if you ever said to me more than 1 year ago to the date that you're going to write a book, and now it's out, like it's, God can use whatever it is. Like, don't give up, sister. Whatever it is in your life that has happened, it's not the end. You're still alive. You're still breathing today. There's more things.
And
don't
God
give up.
wastes nothing. He wastes nothing.
Nothing. Yes. Don't give up.
That's so good. Okay, Tess, how can people find you?
Well, I have a website, tessscott.com. 3 S's in the middle there, tessscott.com. My book is out. It's out in ebook right now. The paperback is being launched in June of 2022. And it's called Listen, Sister, Finding Hope in the Freak Show of Life. And you can find it anywhere books are sold: Barnes and Noble, Kohl's, Indigo, Amazon, all those places. I saw it on Walmart.com. You see your name on a book on Walmart.com, and you're like, what?
That is so weird.
That's
right?
Craziness to me, right? It's so nuts. And it's fun. I think everybody would like it, honestly. It's just short little stories, like 1 minute, 2 minutes. You can lock yourself in the bathroom. The kids are banging on the door. You just got to read this little bit. It's going to cheer me up and give me some truth today. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Listen Sister Encouragement. And
I love it.
Yeah. And send me a message, pray for you, whatever it is.
Oh, well, Tess, you have made my day. It is still early in the morning, but I'm going to call this. I'm done. I'm going to go back to bed. This is good.
Well, good.
Get better. So, yes.
My work here is done.
That's right. Yes. You are just a breath of fresh air. And I just loved talking to you. And I want to keep in touch for sure, because this was so much fun. And I love that you turned your freak show into something that can really benefit other people's freak shows. So that's fantastic. So thank you for being a part of the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's so fun.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening to Resilience in Life and Leadership. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Please share with anyone you think will benefit from this podcast.